This bonus episode of HIPcast is brought to you by Datavant. Datavant protects, connects, and delivers the world's most precious data. As the leader in data logistics for healthcare, they enable organizations to achieve their boldest ambitions and advance human health. Join Datavant in fixing the health data supply chain. Datavant securely and compliantly moves relevant health data from where it sits to where it needs to be. Great data logistics gives providers whole patient health data effectively assembled for specific requests and protected to ensure patient privacy. Built on decades of release of information expertise, their products and services create a frictionless experience for managing the flow of patient data. Datavant ensures relevant information is provided only to those who should have it. Learn more about Datavant's offerings by visiting www.datavant.com.
Well, welcome to today's episode of HIPcast. This is a bonus episode. Excuse me. We are kicking off kind of a discussion nationally, hopefully, across the states that are considered now component associations with the American Health Information Management Association. We're talking about the new efforts to realign the mission statement of AHIMA with the fact that it's a membership organization. And our two guests today are part of the team that is spearheading those efforts. And you probably recognize both names, Miss Rose Dunn and Dr. Marita Johns. You may recognize them both as past presidents of AHIMA because they are. You may also recognize them as vocal leaders in innovative and consistent quality work in health information across the country and also in education. So I'm going to read their bios to you, and then we will kick off our discussion today to talk about what led to this initiative and what do we hope to do and how are we going to take the steps to make that happen. So Dr. Marita Johns, PhD, is a nationally and internationally recognized leader in healthcare information systems. She has served in multiple volunteer leadership roles, including the president of AHIMA. She is the recipient of AHIMA's Distinguished Member Award, Champion Award, and Professional Achievement Award. Dr. Johns was a tenured faculty in Health Information Systems and Management at The Ohio State University. At the University of Alabama, she was a tenured associate professor and the founding director of the graduate program in Health Informatics. Dr. Johns was director of the graduate program in Information Systems Management at the School of Business, Loyola University, Chicago. She's a leadership coach and founder and president of the Monarch Center for Women's Leadership Development. Dr. Johns is the author of several HIM and health informatics and leadership textbooks. Her latest works include Enterprise Health Information Management and Data Governance and Leadership Development for Healthcare. Dr. Johns also applies her knowledge of positive psychology coaching, authoring women's fiction and novels about people's journeys in overcoming challenges to achieve a flourishing life. Her recent works, Black Horse Road, Flower Girl, and Flawless Witness, have received 5-star reviews. Ms. Rose Dunn is the Chief Operating Officer of St. Louis-based First Class Solutions Incorporated. Rose's career started at Barnes Hospital, the flagship of BJC Healthcare, where she ultimately was vice president and responsible for 1,600 employees. After Barnes, she worked for MetLife as national AVP, where she gained a solid understanding of managed care. Rose also served as the CFO of an Illinois dual hospital system and participated in their bond issue. Rose is an AHIMA Distinguished Member, Legacy and Outstanding Service Award recipient, and has served as the elected president and employed interim CEO of the 80,000 member professional association. She has served on numerous AHIMA committees, councils, and on the AHIMA Foundation. She is active in ACHE, AICPA, HFMA, HIMSS, ARMA International, and AHIMA. Rose has authored more than a dozen texts, including ACHE, HAPS, Dunn's, and Heyman's Healthcare Management, published 200 plus articles, and made numerous healthcare-related presentations. She authored and supports the fundamentals of HCC's course for Libman education, and in her spare time, she bakes cheesecakes and tends to feral cats. Thank you both so much for being here.
Thanks, Shannon. Thanks, Seth.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Both are heroes of the
Absolutely.
profession, so it's fascinating to listen to those bios. And we were laughing before we started recording because I asked Dr. Johns if it was Dr. Johns or Marita, and she said Marita, which is so fun to me because it was Dr. Johns in all my textbooks. So I'm going to struggle to say Marita, but I will ask you the first question, Marita. We're here to talk about the mission statement, and the question is from the very foundation: what is a mission statement and what's its purpose?
Well, thanks again, Shannon and Seth, for this is fun because to be with Rose and y'all, this is great. Not only fun, but really helping us get out the mission, our mission, to really talk about why it's time for AHIMA to have a new mission statement. So your question, Seth, is really spot on about what is a mission statement, and I think oftentimes we forget about the importance of the mission statement as the core and the grounding, the foundation for an organization. And so I really like to look at the mission statement as the organization's really its North Star. It's its guiding light, if you will. It's how the organization can set its compass in the right direction. And in the recent article that I posted on LinkedIn about why it's time for a new AHIMA mission statement, the image that I had was a gridiron. And on that gridiron, I said, without the right mission statement, an organization, or you might find yourself at the end of the field, only to realize that you're really at the wrong goalpost. And I think we've all seen that in sports, in football or basketball. They landed at the wrong end. So the mission statement really functions as that organization's North Star, its guiding light, and the organization uses their compass. They direct their compass towards that North Star. And so that's the major role that it plays. And like any role, there's many functions. And within that role, one of the primary functions of the mission statement is that it's vital to communicate the organization's purpose. The organization's purpose to the board of directors, the staff, the members, various stakeholders, and the public. So communication is essential. A clearly stated mission statement is essential for communication. A second function is that the mission statement is used to guide all organizational actions and to guide, very importantly, to guide their decision making. Is it going to be a go or no go on a certain decision? Are we going to do this or we're not going to do this? Take a certain action. And you can kind of look at that mission statement and say, okay, if we make this decision, are we in line with our mission? Are we fulfilling each of the bullet points of this mission? It eliminates confusion about what decisions an organization makes, and also eliminates confusion about the steps it should take when it makes that decision. So it guides the organization's actions in determining, what services is it going to provide? What are the products that it's going to provide? What are the initiatives that it's going to support? How is it going to allocate resources? So communication and a guide to the organizational actions are two of the functions. A third function of the mission statement is that it serves as a powerful message to all stakeholders and to the public who can see the organization's values and how these align with what that organization does. So I like to call this really the 3 C's. It provides clarity as to what that organization is and values and how its actions align with those values. It provides credibility, second C, and it builds confidence. So those 3 C's I see as, is absolutely an essential function as part of the role of the mission statement. And finally, this fourth thing I would say is that the mission statement very, very importantly influences the organizational culture. How people act, what their actions are, how they relate to each other, and what they can expect. And it basically establishes trust and builds community. When the mission statement is clear, everybody is not only reading on the same page, they're reading from the same paragraph. And so that also builds that community excitement, commitment, and it's what makes that organization flourish. So for these purposes, then, to fulfill all the role and all the various functions in the mission statement, we feel that it's time for a new AHIMA mission statement that clearly states the organization's purpose in serving its members.
Thank you so much, Marita. I took some notes. I don't know if you noticed, you probably did as a tenured teacher, instructor, professional, professor. But that was a very good academic lesson and a good reminder of what the value of a mission statement. I mean, its purpose really is to drive what is happening. And so, as you mentioned here, and you also mentioned in your article, talking about the goalposts and, to make sure you're going in the right direction. AHIMA's current mission statement that we've had for a few years now, empower people to impact health. Can you talk a little bit about the mission and the historical purposes of our organization and how those two maybe are not aligned?
Great. I'm glad, Shannon, that you mentioned what the current mission statement is, which is, empower people to impact health. So kind of as we talk about that, just kind of keep that up here in your mind, thinking, okay, empower people to impact health, and kind of do a mental gymnastics or comparison as I'm talking about the historical perspective. First of all, I start with what kind of organization is AHIMA? From a legal designation, kind of to get in a little bit into the weeds, which maybe a lot of members aren't familiar with, is designation as a nonprofit and a specific type of nonprofit. There are lots of different types of nonprofits. There's nonprofits that are social welfare or promote the social welfare or advocate for a certain cause. There's charitable organizations. There's labor organizations that are nonprofits, religious organizations, recreation even organizations. But AHIMA is a specific type of nonprofit organization called a 501c6. And that is a nonprofit professional organization. And that is defined by the IRS as an association whose purpose is to improve the conditions of its members. So it's not an advocacy. It's not a charitable. Okay, it is a professional organization whose purpose is to improve the conditions of its members. So how does it do this? And so it just does this, or supposed to do this, by aiding its members in their professional development through education, through providing career resources. It could be through providing certifications. So it helps their members develop. And by doing that, it also advances the profession itself, advances the profession and its value to the public, and it advances the professional practice within the profession. And ultimately, it serves then, by doing these things, it serves the public good. So that, in a nutshell, then, is what the AHIMA organization historically has been, is designated to be in its category of a 501c6. So it's not there to, its purpose is supposed to be to primarily advocate for its members. It's not there to increase the association brand. It's not in existence to advance a particular cause or advance some type of a social welfare type of impact. It's there specifically to advance its members. So going back to the current mission statement, empowering people to impact health is more in line with an advocacy organization such as, and I note this in my paper and provide a comparison, but it's more in line with American Heart Association. It's more in line with the Alzheimer's Association or the AARP or the League of Women Voters, rather than being in line with other professional associations, such as the American Nursing Association, the American Occupational Therapy Association, the American Radiological Association. And so when you look at those associations, those membership organizations and their associations, they clearly state in their mission statements that they are about the members and about advancing the profession. So from the perspective, too, of a historical perspective, just to give you one example, Shannon, when I was president in 1997, our mission statement was stated as, it said, as a membership organization of health information professionals, the American Health Information Management Association fosters the professional development of its members through education, certification, and lifelong learning. And these commitments thereby promote the quality of health information for the benefit of the public, the healthcare consumer, providers, and other users of clinical information. So that's one example. But if you go back to other mission statements that the organization has had, they have all been consistent with their focus on the member. And so the mission statement that we've proposed is that AHIMA is a professional. I know, I slipped, boy, oh boy. That shows I've been a member since
Forever.
1973. Yeah.
Yes, I love it.
That's a great Freudian slip. If that doesn't prove it about where we've been with the mission statement. But AHIMA, to get back to our current proposal, is what we're proposing is something very straightforward. AHIMA is a professional membership organization whose mission is to benefit its members, advocate for their professional interests and needs, and promote the advancement of the profession and the integrity of health information. So currently, as you mentioned, Shannon, there is a misalignment with the current mission statement of AHIMA, which is to empower people to impact healthcare, and the one that should focus on members and their needs and the advancement of the profession. And what's interesting, I found interesting that when you look at the webpage of AHIMA, the mission webpage of AHIMA, on that entire webpage where they talk about mission, member is not mentioned once.
That's shame on me for not knowing that, and that is interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So member is not mentioned once. They talk about our people. I'm not sure who our people are. And when we talk about people empowering healthcare, who are those people?
Mm.
And when we're talking about empowering, what does that mean? And when we're talking impacting health, it's not even health care. When they talk about impacting health, what is that? Is it ensuring that people have enough food to eat? Is it ensuring that they have access to health care? Is it ensuring that they have good accommodations in which to live? I don't know what that means. So that is why we're very passionate that it is time for AHIMA to reset its compass towards its North Star, not get distracted, not move off. And it is time for a new AHIMA mission statement that clearly states the organization's purpose is to serve its members and to advance the profession.
Very good. It's incredible to point out the differences between what it's kind of evolved to, and then what your proposal for the mission statement is, and how it does turn things back to the member, which we are a membership organization. That's what we should be focused on, is the member. And I would ask that to you, Rose, as the proposed mission statement that you've brought forward. How does that align to our membership as a profession? How does that help our organization ultimately point the picture or point the spotlight back to our members and support our members across the healthcare landscape?
With you. An outstanding job of setting the stage. You know, our association's history is as a professional association, and professional association like ours, such as Health Information Management, provides a service that requires specialized education. It requires independent judgment. It requires substantial expertise. And our professionals embrace those principles. We adhere to a code of conduct, and we self-regulate ourselves. And that's what makes us different from a trade association that just about anyone can join. Now, Marita shared the proposed mission statement, and I want to share that we're not entirely unique with this proposal. Canada, just up the street, and Australia, HIM associations have very similar missions that focus on the members. We believe, in terms of how to meet those needs, I think we need to set the stage here. We actually believe members have felt disenfranchised by AHIMA due to actions taken or lack of action that may have disillusioned the members and actually may have disrespected the professional credentials. And that situation, coupled with an operational issue, has actually resulted in the loss of, I think it's 7,000 members over the past several years according to the CEO.
It's much higher than 7,000. We've
unfortunately.
lost we've lost over 40% of our membership since
Right.
2017. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
It's significant.
that's a shame. And so the outcome, of course, is dues have declined. We believe per AHIMA employee expenses have increased somewhat substantially, which leaves less resources to take care of the members. And so we can recognize why individuals feel disenfranchised. So how do we meet those members' needs or our profession's needs? Well, I'm going to just say it, and everyone knows that I usually don't hold things back. I'm uncertain that the recently released strategic plan will do it. It does not have that North Star that Marita identified. So I think the first thing we need to do is reverse the vicious cycle. The mission we're proposing is a roadmap. If AHIMA's leadership, staff, and the board commit to, and not just talk the talk, but actually walk the walk, to this proposed mission, they may, just may, be able to stem the loss, recover some of those members, and recruit new members.
Mm-hmm.
And with new and additional members paying dues, benefiting from up-to-date educational offerings, finding support from new AHIMA-generated practice guides and templates and tools to do their job, filling positions with young careerists grown from state-of-the-art formal education programs, and our members' careers progressing from AHIMA's in-your-face advocacy of the HIM profession's role in today's healthcare industry. The association, its members, and those we all serve will eventually achieve the vision that the association has been touting as its mission, possibly, and that is that empowering people to impact health. I kind of classify it as a simple field of dreams. If our association focuses on its members, if we build an environment for our members to flourish, if we are seen as a vital industry resource, the members will join and the association will prosper. That's how I see it.
I will give that an amen from the amen corner. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that or not, but
Yeah, it's our podcast, Seth. You can do it.
Amen.
I won't revoke your privileges. Rose, thank you so much. And one of the things that I'm sorry I didn't prep you really for this during the discussion. The next question on the that we're going to ask you is who's supporting this? What kind of support do you have behind this? But before you go into that, Rose, could you talk a little bit about, if you want to, and I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but could you talk a little bit about what was the tipping point for the great minds that came together, the long tenured professionals that have served in every capacity that we can even think of as volunteers in this profession? What was the tipping point that brought you all into this discussion? And then kind of talk about who is supporting it, if you don't mind.
Sure. There were several tipping points, and Marita, feel free to chirp in here anytime, but we had a couple of items that happened over the past recent years. The first one is the lack of a credentialed leader of the association. And while I have no knowledge of Kevin's expertise other than the few webcasts and a few emails. I find it disappointing that out of an association of 80,000 members, that we could not find a credentialed member of all of our leaders to serve as the leader of our association. That was one of the tipping points. The second tipping point was the sudden change in CEU requirements, which was totally inappropriate and has been partially corrected.
Very good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Who, Marita, anything to add?
Yeah, I'll go ahead, and I want to express, my tipping points as well, which have been going on for, a few years. And the one thing, and I've expressed this view on the recent town hall that AHIMA had, so it's well known. But it's not only the lack of a CEO as the credentialed CEO as the head of the organization, it's also the lack of credentialed members in the C-suite. And so the organization has operated for several years with either no representation of the professional member in the C-suite who are making those decisions, except for a period of time when they had a very capable person in the C-suite, but that was only one among many. And so you have lots of different advisory groups to the CEO, international, national advisory groups. But where is the credentialed members who are in key positions of, advocacy, membership, professional practice, and operating in the C-suite? And when you look at the organization, when it was really, really highly flourishing, what you saw in that C-suite was a very good combination of many members or many of the vice presidents who were credentialed members working with other domain experts, say in marketing or in membership, that were working together. And that made an absolutely dynamic team. But the other thing that's happened, Shannon, is that without those professional members, certified HIM professionals, what else have we lost? We have lost norms, and we have lost traditions, and we have lost history. And so every time somebody new comes in, where is the history? Where is the grounding? And that history is really, really essential. When I've talked to people about, how did we make such a flourishing organization where we focused on members? For those of the audience who are old enough, they will remember team talks. Team talks where the president and the vice president and the CEO went to the regions, and we brought people together, helping us develop that strategic plan, giving us input on ideas that the board might have had, and saying, oh, you're off base on this, or wow, you don't understand where we're coming from here. We don't understand our condition here. And wherever it was, in Wyoming or Montana or California or wherever we were on these team talks. And man, did that create a community of trust where we were all operating from what? The same paragraph. So those are the tipping points that have happened throughout, and it's particularly, I would say in the last 5 or 6 years, that really happened. And I am with Rose. When we go in and we say to healthcare organizations, we can leave, our members can leave, that they should be CIOs or chief privacy officers or chiefs of whatever. And we can't even be chiefs in our own organization and be a CEO. What does that say? And right now, when you look at the AHIMA Executive Leadership webpage, there's one credentialed member up there now. Maybe there's another one I think is coming who has been appointed. But still, it's not enough.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That has definitely been one of the members' main concerns for several years now. You know, Lynn Thomas Gordon, and before her, the days where we still had credentialed folks, you know, in a lot of the roles. I can say there are a couple of new additions that happened just in July of this year. So, and they are credentialed senior VPs. Still not at the C-suite level, though. Not in any C role, not in any chief role at all. But I wonder, Rose, can you tell us a little bit about who's supporting this? What kind of support do you have so far?
Sure. Let me just add another tipping point that it adds right on to what Marita was saying about team talks. We also lost the societies. Folks interacted with their peers through the various societies and they dissolved. I mean, I see the current strategic plan says it's going to create some societies. Well, they're not really going to create it. They're going to resurrect societies. But the other thing that we've lost, and I don't see it any place in the strategic plan, is any mention of coding. Are we just going to give that up to the other association? We're going to kiss off those members, which are a significant number of our professional members. That's a disappointment. So let me not further belabor that point. You asked who is supporting the new mission. Well, obviously, the 7 past presidents that are on the proposal that was submitted to AHIMA. We shared it with several state associations. We also had content submitted for that proposal from about a dozen professional members. And the states so far, we have about 11 state associations that are either fully supportive or acknowledging that it's a good document. And then many individuals who have responded either individually directly to me or through the post that Marita made or through the follow-up repost that I made. So I think there's some support out there, and I'm hoping that we'll have more support. I can't imagine why anyone would be opposed to a mission statement that says we will take care of our members.
Yeah, and I wonder if a lot of it's fear of rattling the cage, but sometimes rattling the cage is a good thing. And I think what you've shared today has been fantastic. And Shannon and I both like to believe that every single member of AHIMA and our component associations and anyone in the health information world listens to this podcast. That's truly what we hope for and we believe. But if I'm sitting there as a member and I'm listening to what you've presented today, what are my actions? What are the next steps for this to provide support, to elevate this up for consideration?
Well, the proposed change was submitted to the appropriate entity at AHIMA, the Professional Governance Group, 2 months ago. I've asked for a status update twice now. And I think you probably all know, I've now become a House of delegate. Okay, so I'm going to be a delegate in the House of Delegates again, and so it should be fun. But as I read the House of Delegate policies, it was supposed to be given to the House of Delegates. But to my knowledge, that hasn't happened yet. So I think for anyone who's listening, reach out to your delegates, reach out to your state association, and ask them to at least support getting it in front of the House so the House can take action on this.
The House of Delegates is going to be meeting this fall for those that are curious and interested. I know for the state of Tennessee, our delegates are preparing for the fall House of Delegates meeting, so the timing of this is perfect. If you're in agreement with this and would like to, well, even if you're in disagreement, we encourage you to get involved in the association, get involved in our profession, and contact your state, volunteer, contact your delegates that are your representatives, and elevate your opinions to your delegation that are representing you at the House of Delegates.
Yeah, we appreciate you both coming on and talking through this. Seth, I'm thinking maybe we should title this one, "Are We Rattling Cages?" Just because it'll draw people to listen, right? Because it's a cool title also. So, but it's important as a member, as a long-standing member of AHIMA, it's important to me what our mission is and what our direction is. It's important to everyone on this call because we've all served, we continuously volunteer, we're continuously involved in our state, local, or national level. And, it's interesting because we want to be the voice. As Seth said, we want everybody to hear what all the professionals across the country are doing. That's why we try to interview anyone who has a great story to tell. But this is important information. And as a member, this should matter enough to you to reach out to the delegate in your state. If you're not a delegate, this should empower you or encourage you to reach out to a delegate to say, hey, what's our state's stance on this? What's our component association stance on this? Tell me why you agree or disagree with this proposal, and then make your decision and help you guide your volunteerism in the future. So we appreciate you both so much. Thank you for tons of knowledge that you dropped on us. I can't wait to hear this one so that I can take more notes instead of trying to be focused on asking questions.
Yeah, thank you both. And we do want to thank our sponsor for today's bonus episode. This episode of HIPcast was brought to you by Datavant. Datavant protects, connects, and delivers the world's most precious data. As the leader in data logistics for healthcare, they enable organizations to achieve their boldest ambitions and advance human health. Join Datavant in fixing the health data supply chain. Datavant securely and compliantly moves relevant health data from where it sits to where it needs to be. Great Data Logistics gives providers whole patient health data effectively assembled for specific requests and protected to ensure patient privacy. Built on decades of release of information expertise, their products and services create a frictionless experience for managing the flow of patient data. Datavant ensures relevant information is provided only to those who should have it. Learn more about Datavant's offerings by visiting www.datavant.com. Shannon, until next time, my friend.
See you next time.